Okay, this video is how to pull the Westerbeek from the Gemini. So to get the engine out, you basically have to disconnect everything that's hooked up to it. The motor mounts, the brackets for the motor mounts, the alternator. You got to take everything off the transmission, disconnect it right from the flexible coupling. Fuel lines, water hoses, exhaust hoses, throttles, all the wiring harness. Everything's got to be removed, disconnected, and get it all off ahead of time. All the motor mount brackets have to be undone. So there's a lot of work to do before you're going to be pulling the engine out. And the heat exchanger's got to get all disassembled and taken off also. Okay, so we got the last of the motor mounts disconnected. There's the last of the bolts. The exhaust elbow piece is off. Got our motor mounts freed up. And we're going to pull the oil out next. We got all the wires off. So we're going to pull the oil out. We're going to pull the coolant out. Loop the coolant back into the boat heater system so we can continue to heat the boat while we're working on this in this icy cold winter air up here in the Northeast. And there you have it. Okay, so now we got to disconnect the linkages for the shut off and throttle. We got the motor mounts out down there and down there. Got the exhaust elbow off. Got the back of the heat exchanger electronics off. All the battery connections are off over there. So there you have it. Okay, and now down here we have to take all the hoses off from the heat exchanger to the pump. And we got to take the raw water intake off. And down there you can see the other motor mount that's off. And the one back there, we disconnected it from the engine because getting to the motor mount in the back is not real feasible because the hose for raw water goes right on top of it. So there you have it. Okay, so over here we've got a whole bunch more things done. We disconnected the throttle linkages from the engine here, and we've got the heat exchanger out. This is disconnected from the back of the engine. We may have to put it back on, but it should come out of the hole with it. We're going to put a strap around the back of the transmission, and so it should be free. Should be able to get this thing out now. Got all the cooling hoses in the front disconnected, and it's time to set up the A-frame. And we have a chain fall. We're going to hook the chain fall up and try to lift the engine out. Good. Okay, so what we got here is we got the chain fall set up on the frame, and we're going to use the chain in the front, lift the engine, block it, and then we're going to reposition this bar with the chain fall and move it forward again, and we'll see how it goes. We're going to lift the back of the engine with the main sheet. Okay, so we got the ratchet strap around the back of the engine with the main sheet, and over here we've got the chain fall connected to the front of the engine, and we're going to try lifting it up and see if it comes up off the motor mounts. And then we're going to slip some boards underneath it and reposition. Okay, so now we're going to lift the engine up and see what happens. Okay, so we're going to take the front mount off now.
See it? Where are you? Most of the string is, I always lock tight.
Okay.
Oh. She's coming.
Okay, so we got the I-beam moved in and re-supported. We got 4x4s on the side, and we've got it tied off in a couple of places to the main winches just to keep it supported. And now we're going to lift the engine up. We've still got the main sheet on the back, but we repositioned it to come out the front. We've got the engine blocked inside with a couple of boards running across. You can see them right there. They're running all the way across the engine. And we're hooked on here. So now we're going to swing the engine out and set it down in the cockpit. And that's the next step.
Everything.
Okay, so we can bring the back up a little bit higher.
Yep.
Right here. Backed up.
What's that rope? Line, whatever it is.
It's okay.
Alright, what are we hung up on? Hold on.
Maybe a hose on this side over here.
Yeah. Yep. Can you come up on the back?
I can.
Okay. Okay. So that's it. Alright. Down we can go.
Go down here.
You can,
I'm going to lower this one.
yeah, I'm going to put the pan right on the board.
It's okay.
And then...
The back's coming down.
Yep.
Okay. It's kind of caught from there.
Yep. Oh.
Hold on. And there we have it. The engine is out of the engine compartment and sitting in the cockpit. It came out really easy, no real problems. You kind of got to get the engine mounting brackets off of the engine. They were in the way when it came out. And the alternator is also kind of in the way. That would have been easier if we'd taken that off first. But no real problems, came right out, sitting in the cockpit. And next step is to take it apart and figure out what's going wrong inside the engine.